Hi, this is Annie from the ADHD Minimalist, and today I'm filming in a different spot in the house. I have a table set up on the other side of the house where I'm painting a window, so I don't really have space to film over there today. I wanted to talk about how to get started decluttering when you don't have a lot of time. And I know that this is a big problem for most of us. And some of us maybe had some time to do some extra decluttering if you ended up at home during Corona. But now we hope that Corona is drawing to a close and that we're gonna be back at work and back at our normal lives soon. And so if things are starting to speed up for you at home, then I have some tips for how you can start decluttering even if you feel like you don't have a lot of time. One thing that I had to realize was that I needed to stop the flow of items coming in. And that is a big one because I would declutter and then somebody would come with stuff and be like, oh, do you want hand-me-downs or did you need this? And a lot of the times I would say yes. And then I was pretty good at going through the items and maybe only keeping the hand-me-downs I actually thought we would use. But like all of the time that it took me to go through those items and then I had to drive the extra stuff to the secondhand store, it was time that I could have spent decluttering the stuff that was already in our house. So you kind of have to weigh the options. I mean, if you're hard up for cash and you really need the hand-me-downs, then go ahead and take them. Just make sure that you get the stuff you won't use out of the house. But if you can say no to things, even like new things at the store, just think twice before you buy things, or possibly do a no spend month or a no spend year. We're actually planning on doing a no spend, I don't know, it may end up being 9 months instead of a year, but starting in September. So I might have to do a film about that and let you know what rules we decide on and how it goes. Just deciding to stop the flow of items coming in, that is half the battle, because you can get stuff out and just end up with the same amount of items back in your house the next day if you're not careful about what you let in the door. And let's be honest, once it gets in the house, it's hard to get out. And there actually are scientific reasons for that once we have it, our brains think that it's worth more. So like things that we own, we automatically think that we can sell them for more money than other people are willing to pay for them. And that's just because we put a higher price tag and a higher priority on the things that are already in our home. So if you can keep it out, then it will be a lot easier to deal with. If you've already brought it into your home, it's a good thing to realize that if you're going to resell things on eBay or leave things at a consignment shop or something, that you're not going to get as much money out of them as you maybe think or would like to. And sometimes that's a good learning lesson for us to be careful what we spend our money on, because the resale value is usually not as good as we would like. Many years ago, when I first started decluttering, I was at home with 2 kids, and I found out later that both of them have ADHD, and they were really hard to entertain. My husband started working away 5 days a week, so he was only home on the weekends, and I was working a full-time job and trying to keep up with the house and the kids, and I kind of stressed out finally. And I walked in the house one evening and there was just toys everywhere. Like the whole living room floor was covered with small toys, and partway into the kitchen, because the kids like to play close to where I'm working. And it was such a mess, like, I mean, several inches deep. And it was just a mix of Legos and Duplos and small toys from McDonald's and pieces to other toy sets that maybe we didn't have that many of them, but like stacking clowns or like these rings that stack on each other and games and stuff. And the kids were just getting all kinds of stuff out while I was trying to make food and maybe clean the bathroom or do other chores around the house. And then I would come into the living room and just, it was a little bit worse every time I walked through. And finally, it was just a huge mess. And I asked the kids to start putting stuff back, and they like picked up 3 toys and kind of looked at them and didn't know what to do. And then I looked at the mess and I was like, honestly, I'm not even sure where I should start, because the process of sorting all of those toys when they all got dumped together was just enormous. Pieces of dolls and pieces of Barbies and pieces of Legos and pieces of wooden toy trains and other sets of McDonald's toys, and they just kind of dumped it all in this huge mess. And that's sort of when the light bulb went on for me that I needed to declutter. And at that point, I was just looking at kids' clothes because I always kind of thought we needed to have a lot of stuff. It was sort of my security blanket. And I wasn't really ready to let go of much stuff. I just knew that I couldn't handle all of these toys and the fact that they were all getting mixed together when my husband was not at home to help me clean up the house. So the first thing we did was sort through the mess on the floor and all the toys that didn't go in main categories, like Duplos, Legos, Barbies. Some of the things would be like a wooden toy train that we had at the time. And at this point, my kids weren't super old. They were maybe 4 and 7. And so, I mean, it was toys that fit those age groups. And then we boxed up the ones that fit into these categories in big plastic bins and labeled them. And we made a toy library out in the storage room. So then they were only allowed to have one of these bins at a time in the living room, so that way the kids could pick up all by themselves. And all the other toys that they didn't really play with much, that didn't fit into these categories, they were either designated to the children's rooms, they got to pick some things to have in their rooms, or they went to the secondhand store. And we got rid of, I don't know, at least a third of the kids' toys, if not eventually half. It probably took me 2 declutters to get through everything, but it made a huge difference in the fact that I could ask the kids to put stuff into those bins. If they wanted to have a different bin, they could just pick everything up, put it in the bin, and I would take it out and get what they wanted. It just made life so much simpler for me. That was kind of a rabbit trail, I guess, but back to like one thing I did then around this time after we had decluttered the toys was that I would walk around the house with trash bags and just do like quick walkthroughs where I would get rid of trash. I would get rid of anything that the kids have grown out of. I would get rid of broken toys or anything that I felt like was ready to that we could hand it down to somebody else or send to the secondhand store. And I would just put these things in these bags as I went through the house, and it took me about 15 minutes. And then I made sure I got them out, usually to the car or the trash bin afterwards. So this is something that anybody can do. And I suggest if you have a lot of stuff to declutter, just set a timer for 15 minutes and then you can walk through the house every day for 15 minutes. And eventually all of these small declutters will amount to something. And in Swedish, they have a saying, "Många bäckar små blir en flod." And that means that a lot of small streams eventually make a big river. That's true of just if you get a little bit done every day, eventually you will come to the end of your decluttering, especially if you're careful to stop the flow of things coming in. If the flow of things coming in, if that river is bigger than the flow of things going out, then you're never going to finish. But if you can dam up that river so that you have no more stuff coming in, then eventually, even if it's a trickle of stuff going out, you will get finished decluttering. And so that's just a way to have a good goal for the end. And doing a little bit every day can really help you feel like you're getting something done and you're moving in the right direction, even if you're stressed and you have a lot going on in your life right now. So if we're just going to kind of recap this, what you need to do is to get some trash bags, and the kind that are not see-through. So preferably black trash bags, and they don't need to be these like ginormous bags that you have for your trash can out in the garage. We're talking maybe this sort of size. Then you're going to label them if you have trouble remembering which bag is which. And you're going to have a bag for trash, a bag for secondhand items, a bag for items that your older children have grown out of that are for your younger, and a bag of items for things that you're going to sell. So all of these bags, you're going to hold 2 in each hand and walk around the house and look for things to put in the bags. And after 15 minutes, you're done and you need to take the stuff directly out to where it needs to go. So the trash goes into the dumpster. The stuff for the secondhand store goes to your car. The items that you're going to sell need to go to a designated spot where you put all of those items together. And the items that you're saving for a younger child need to go out into the plastic bin where you have those hand-me-downs, preferably even into the right size directly so you don't have to sort that again. Now, What I usually do with stuff that I'm going to put on eBay or Facebook Marketplace is that I will just collect a bunch of items in a designated spot, and when I feel like it's starting to be a lot, then I will ask my husband to take care of the kids. At that point in my life, when the kids were small and he was gone a lot, it had to usually be on a weekend, and I needed to just ask him, I mean, can you take the kids and take them swimming or do something with them on Saturday? And I would stay home and get the stuff out and sort it. And if it was clothes, I would make sure that I had quite a lot of the same size, and I would take pictures of it all together and sell it as a group. And then toys, you kind of have to make sure they have all the pieces and stuff before you sell them. But I would spend a good chunk of time that day just putting stuff on eBay. And I mean, that's a good way to get a little bit of extra income if you're a stay-at-home mom, or if you needed to buy some new things, you could reinvest some of the money from stuff you don't need. I do suggest that, but I mean, like having your kids running around while you're trying to take pictures and grabbing stuff out of the piles and saying that they want to keep things that are too small for them is not very fun or relaxing. So try to avoid doing that if all possible. So that's what I have done in the beginning of my decluttering, and most of the stuff I was just getting out of the house for my own sanity. And it was even before I wanted anything to do with big declutters. I hope you find this helpful, and if you need some inspiration for decluttering clothes, decluttering kids' clothes, and how I decluttered my daughter's closet and she didn't notice, and go ahead and watch those on my channel. The best compliment you can give us is a thumbs up. If you found this helpful, go ahead and subscribe to our channel. I like to make videos about simple living. So have a really great day. Bye.